Plenty of red numbers in round one of the Manulife LPGA Classic, including from Canadian Brooke Henderson here at the par 4 11th. That would get her to -4 for the day. She did have a little trouble coming in, finishing at -2 after round one. This week marks the second consecutive week for the ladies in Canada. A little bit farther east this time, 65 miles from downtown Toronto. And on the PGA Tour, as usual, when Labor Day weekend rolls around, it's a Friday start with a Monday finish. We preview the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, the Deutsche Bank Championship, right now on Golf Central.
Golf Central, brought to you by Titleist.
Lisa Cornwell, Trip Eisenhower, great to have you with us tonight on Golf Central. No time to chat. Let's get right to a lot of highlights from day one in Canada, the Manulife LPGA Classic, starting with world number one, Lydia Ko. Trip here at the par 4 6.
All right, I want you to pay attention to something. When you see the line rolling like that, well, if you read it right, it goes right in the bottom, and that's what it did for Lydia Ko.
She makes it look so easy.
She does.
You made it sound so easy. It's not that easy. Ko at even par at that point. Now for birdie at 8.
Yeah, kind of stuck in neutral. We're even par. Let's see if we can get things moving in the right direction for world number one. And, well, that's a 2, and we're getting quickly under par.
That's also perfect pacing from world number one, who is 1 under at that point. Ko now at the par 4 12 from the gunk.
Yeah, well, even when she can't see the hole, she says, is that any good? And, yeah, the answer, yes. Lydia, that is very well done.
Yeah, you got to be strong to get it through there. Ko a little stronger than she looks, just 19 years of age now for birdie.
Now let's pay attention to that line one more time. That one not quite as tight as that first one we saw, so maybe that's the reason why I didn't find the bottom of the hole.
Disappointed, but she would remain at 1 under. Ko now at 16, her third.
Yeah, just the rhythm of this golf swing, I want you to watch it. It rarely changes. And when she has rhythm like that, she usually hits shots just like that, just right of the hole, exactly pin high. Well done.
That is her money club, as we should call it.
She makes a lot of money.
Yeah, yes, she does, and a lot of money because of that golf club right there. 2 under for Lydia in her opening day performance. 1 under on the front 9, 1 under on the back. 14 greens. We're usually seeing her, though, in the 20s in those putts, but you should expect that those will probably start dropping. World number 2, Area Jutanagarn here at the par 5 9th, her second.
Par 5, yeah, second shot, yeah. Power, precision, accuracy. Part of the reason why this woman right here is red hot, and it continues into round number 1.
She would birdie that one and get to -4. Now at the par 4 10th, her third.
You know, with all the power, Lisa, we rarely talk about how great her touch is, and, well, I talk about how great it is, and then she lets me down with that shot, but usually very proficient around the green.
She would make bogey and drop to 3 under. Jutanagarn now at the par 5 12th. Hang on.
That's
Is that a driver?
That's a driver. It's in the bag, and let it go. And you know what? I want you to listen to this number right here. She hit 12 fairways today. 12 fairways with the driver, not all of them, but this one, Lisa, 320 yards.
Jerry Foltz told me the last time she had a driver in the bag was back in May at Kingsmill. So obviously she felt something with that club on this golf course. Now her second
yards.
shot.
149 yards on a par 5. Is that fair? She at least gives the field a chance.
So what would she do with shot number 3 here?
Well, let's see if we can get it up and down. Nope. The bunker game needs some work.
Just a little bit of work, but not many parts of her game need work because she is a 5-time winner since the month of May. And you think about her overpowering golf courses. We talked about the longer hitters perhaps feeling at home on this golf course. So we see a lot of birdies from Area on day 1. Will we see even more as this tournament progresses? World number 3, Brooke Henderson. She's from Canada. A lot of people out there wanting to cheer this young woman on. Got a first major title earlier this season. Let's pick her up at 9. It's a par 5. This is her second.
Well, yeah, we saw Area go in with an iron. A little more club for Brooke. Now, she doesn't lack distance off the tee, so that'll speak to how far Area hit it, but wonderfully done right there. That would leave it an easy 2-putt.
Absolutely. Get her to 3 under at that point. Now at the par 4 10th, her third from the green side.
Yeah, a little more proficient than Area, world number 2 out of the bunker, and well, that should make par.
And she would, and remain at 3 under. Henderson now at the par 4 11th for birdie.
Well, this is where she is on a run, and she's looking like she's going to chase up the leaderboard, and it's one of her 29 putts at the time and 4 birdies for the day.
She makes a lot of those putts, but surprisingly, she looked a little surprised at that one. Gave the crowd kind of a half wave, so she was rolling at that point, 4 under. Now Henderson at 13.
Lucky not to be in a divot, but you cannot see the green, cannot see the flag, and consequently, well, she goes over the green in the rough.
But she would have a good look at par.
And this is where things got a little shaky coming in, and the flat stick letting her down.
Doesn't happen often to her, though. Drops her to 3 under. First flat stick reference of the day. Well done. Par 5 16. Henderson off the tee.
48-inch driver, Lisa. 48 inches. That's the maximum that you can have, and well, that's 48 yards from the middle of the fairway. That's not very good.
In her defense, though, she does choke at about 3 inches.
Okay.
So she plays it her own way, but you're right. That was not one that we would call her best as we look at Brooks' card. 8 out of 14 fairways. She is not the most accurate driver of the golf ball on the LPGA Tour, but she certainly gets the job done with her irons and her wedge play. For a full recap of round 1, we say hello to our team. Once again, calling the action in Canada, Tom Abbott and Karen Stupples.
Well, good evening, Lisa and Tripp. It has been an interesting day today, as we've seen from the highlights there on Golf Central. You know, the top players, they had chances to get to the top of the leaderboard, but couldn't quite do it.
No, it was tough playing conditions out there. The wind was up, and if you think about somebody like Aria, who hits the ball a long way, she generates a lot of spin on her shots, so keeping control of those in the windy conditions makes it tough. Lydia Ko didn't have her best day on the putting greens. We saw her miss a few very makeable putts for her. And Brooke Henderson, you know, playing with the expectations of the home crowd, you know, that's a tough thing for her to do. But there are 2 players up there at the top of the leaderboard, in Inji Chung and Brittany Lang, US Women's Open Championship, the current one and the one from last year, right there at 5 under. It's shaping up quite nicely for an interesting day tomorrow.
I think it is going to be an interesting rest of the week here in Canada. It's always going to be interesting to watch Brooke Henderson as she plays in front of her home crowd. She got it to 4 under today, but dropped a couple of shots coming in. She is with Jerry Foltz.
Thanks, Tom. Brooke, 2 under par today, playing in front, I guess you could say, hometown crowd, even though you're from quite a ways away from here. How much different are the emotions playing in the LPGA event closest to your hometown?
It's a lot of fun. You know, all day I felt the crowd's positive energy, and it kind of helped me keep a positive attitude and play pretty well. You know, it was a pretty solid round today, but having so much support from home is really cool.
You played, of course, at home in your National Open last week, and the week before in Rio. Your agent was telling me it almost feels like 3 majors in a row. Does that take a toll on you?
You know, it's definitely very busy weeks and a lot of distractions and a lot of things, a lot of commitments that I have to go to and do. But like I said, it's so much fun to play in front of these amazing crowds and feel that support that I feel all over the world whenever I play on the LPGA Tour. But being live in front of them is something a little different.
Are you encouraged enough from how you hit it today to be optimistic about the rest of the week?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I felt like I was close today of having a very good round, and unfortunately, you know, let some shots slip away on the back 9, but 2 under in tough conditions like this, I'm really happy moving forward.
Best of luck the rest of the week.
Thanks, Jerry.
And they'll be part of the morning wave tomorrow. Do you think there's an advantage for those players to go right back out, considering they know they left a few out there on the back 9?
Potentially. I mean, it definitely is a bit of a struggle this afternoon, so they could be a little bit tired, so that quick turnaround may hurt them a little bit. The conditions I don't think will be quite as tough yesterday afternoon going forward into today, although it was windy all day long. So I don't know. The course is very playable, but I think the players teeing off tomorrow morning have to go out and put a good number up there.
Yeah, the cut here last year was 4 under par, the lowest ever in the history of the LPGA Tour. We've had winning scores in the 20s the last 3 years, so this is an event that sees a lot of low scoring. Lisa, we're looking forward to the rest of the week here at Whistle Bear.
As are we, Tom. Thank you and Karen very much. Our coverage of the Manulife LPGA Classic continues tomorrow at noon Eastern on Golf Channel. It's also available streaming with the Golf Live Extra app. You'll also be able to watch the PGA Tour tomorrow right here on Golf Channel. The opening round coverage of the Deutsche Bank Championship begins at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Steve Burkowski is on site for us from start to finish at TPC Boston. He joins us live with an overview of stop number 2 in the playoffs. Hi, Burko.
Good evening, Lisa. And there's a big month of golf ahead for the best players in the world, but their focus is squarely on the Deutsche Bank Championship. And the reason is because it is the next opportunity for some players to extend their season and for others to improve their position in the FedEx Cup standings.
I love this golf course. I feel like this one is, since it doesn't ever really change, and you're not ever changing throughout the years, it's one of those that kind of fits my eye pretty well, and I really enjoy it. And it's, you know, it's always good to come to a place that you're really comfortable on, especially after a win.
The course looks good. We're going to have some good weather this week, and hopefully we can kind of skirt the weather, you know, late Sunday and Monday. But you know, we've got a good stretch of golf here. We had last week, you know, this week at Deutsche Bank, and then obviously the BMW. And if I can kind of, you know, if I can get one of the wins out of the next two, obviously that takes care of it. You know, the ultimate goal is to get inside the top 5 for Tour Champs.
Confident coming back to TPC Boston here, where I've had some pretty special memories going back to 2013. So looking to, again, like I mentioned last week, build momentum. And last week was really what I was looking for. Obviously, you're always trying to win. It's the best momentum you can get, but felt like we built some up.
Well, definitely excited to be back after winning last year and being the defending champion. Coming off of some better weeks, as the summer hasn't been what I've wanted it to be. So excited about the game coming around, and like I said, being somewhere where I have some good memories.
It'd be good to keep it going. Maybe a bit like the start of the year in the spring. I had a good result in LA and then backed it up with a couple wins, and the game feels a bit more back to that place, and you know, momentum's what I've lacked since the spring. So, you know, I've just got to get it happening on the greens. It's been a bit flat on the greens, and it makes it hard to make a lot of birdies when you're not making the putts. It's all about the numbers in the FedEx Cup playoffs, as the top 70 at week's end here at TPC Boston will move on to the BMW Championship. And at the start of this week, there are only 12 players who can take the top spot in those standings with a victory. Lisa, it is fluid. It is a moving situation. It's all about watching the numbers, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun to do it for the next 4 days here in Massachusetts.
Burko, thank you very much. World number 5, Rory McIlroy, his struggles with the putter trip, they continued last week in the Barclays, missing, I think it was 5 putts inside 5 feet. 2 of those coming on Sunday, resulting in an over par round for him, and also resulting in a decline in the FedEx Cup standings.
Yeah, and there you can see right here. I mean, just making 56 feet of putts, that's well below average on the PGA Tour, and 84% inside of 10 feet. Usually you look for the top putters in the game, they're upwards of the lower 90s in that stat. So he's giving away a lot of shots to the field on the greens.
Rory spoke about his struggles last week and how he's planning to fix it.
It's a work in progress. Like I'm trying to work on a few things and trying to change a few things. So last week was a case of, you know, I was really concentrating too much on what I was trying to do with my technique rather than just trying to hold putts. My miss was left, usually putter sort of handle going left and up, and then trying to hold on to it with my body, and sort of it just wasn't good. So trying to feel like there's more loft on the putter on the way back and on the way through, trying to sort of get my right side to work better. And I guess as well, because I was, you know, my miss with the putter was left, so that meant like I was under-reading left or right putts. You know, I was starting to read putts like, you know, trying to compensate for how I was putting as well. So green reading's different, you know, setup's different, aiming the putter's different. So everything is, as I said, is a work in progress. But I'm taking a view of it where if I can see improvements up until the end of the year, and then, you know, I've got a nice little break there in December where I can work on it. If I can be really comfortable with my putting going to Augusta next April, you know, that's sort of that's my timeline. You know, so that's a 7 or 8 month period where I can sort of try to get it right.
Rory McIlroy, very wisely, it seems like, Tripp, looking at sort of the long-term approach, he realizes that this isn't a quick fix. It's something that's been plaguing him for quite some time. Let's talk about the issues that you see as well as what he's working on.
Well, a couple of things. If we go back to the PGA and we look at how poorly Rory putted, I mean, his ball striking was in full flight. He should not have had the weekend off, but it was putts in particular from this distance in, and he's missed a lot of short putts this year. And this putt has just been an absolute problem for Rory McIlroy, and he's just not making the putts. He hadn't even had streaks where he's been making a lot of putts. And here's what he's talking about when he says the handle is dragging left. When you drag the handle left, watch the toe. That toe is not closing with the arc, and what it causes is, he says, missed a lot of putts to the left. Now, I saw at the PGA and throughout some of the major championships this year, misses to the right, in particular on 4, 5, and 6 footers. And that has to do with what we just saw, and that's the fact that the toe the handle is dragging left, and when you do that, the face is going to want to stay open. We just saw that in that video. So what he did is, what he was doing wrong is he would drag the handle and the toe would go this way. Now he's trying to add loft to it, and by adding loft to it, he's letting the toe go more this way. It was kind of that way, you can see when he drags the handle, and there it would go to the right. It's easy to see how that ball would go to the right. Now, when you release the handle a little bit more and let it just slide just a little bit, so there's a little bit of play in the hands and the wrist, this putter will stay square to the arc, and the toe will actually move just a little bit, and that's what you want when you do this. When you finish that putt, you would want that putter in about that position. That means it's square to the arc, and that's exactly what the best putters in the game do. They release the putter that in very little minimal rotation of the face, but there is some, and there is a little bit of play in the wrist at different points in the stroke. I think this is going to help Rory long term because, Lisa, it has been a fabulous ball striking year for him. I mean, he's really hit the ball very well. He's up there in the strokes gained driving and approach shots. But when you're not putting well, it is a frustrating game, and that's part of the reason why Rory's got to be very frustrated with his major performance this year.
So just in simple terms, it's almost like he's trying to hit a slight draw.
Yeah, I mean, you can think of it that way as far as releasing the putter.
Rather than just shoving it a bit.
And there's so many different ways to do it. You know, Brandt Snedeker does it with the pop stroke. Phil Mickelson does it in a different way. He has some set in his hands, and he has a little bit of hinge going back, and he releases it before he gets to the ball, but there's play and release with that arc. That's why Phil Mickelson's been such a wonderful putter. Look at Ricky Fowler's stroke. Look at Tiger Woods' putting stroke. Those are great putting strokes that have a lot of that, exactly what I'm talking about. Square to the arc, release of the putter head, and, well, they make a lot of putts.
Well, hard to argue Tiger Woods' the best putter of all time. So, yeah, that's a pretty good reference. Well, the Americans were doing some team building Wednesday night at Gillette Stadium, home of the Patriots. Find out exactly what they were doing. That's later on Golf Central.